Alright, Java champions, welcome back to Java with John. We have mastered while loops, do while loops, and for loops. But sometimes, even in the most well planned out journey, things happen that make you change course or even skip a step. That's where break and continue keywords come in handy. Think of them as John's emergency brakes and his ability to just pass by certain situations. Now, these two keywords are very important when it comes to loops. So, I will be explaining what break does and what continue does, but with a twist. I would like to have an example for each of them, so just give me a moment. So, one I is less than or equal to, actually we could have first had a variable total passengers, which we already know the value, then found and backward. I'll explain what each of them does. So total passengers, then we have the I plus plus. So remember the structure of the loop, the for loop. It's the same. It hasn't changed. Now, the first place I would like us to begin is with the break keyword. So imagine John is about to start his journey. Being a responsible driver, he decides to do a quick seatbelt check on all 14 passengers. So he goes down the aisle one by one, making sure everyone is buckled up. So he starts with passenger 1, passenger 1 is okay, moves on to passenger 2, passenger 2 is okay, moves on to passenger 3, and so on and so forth. But then he gets to passenger number 5. So let me start there. In our conversation, I'll start with a prompt. So this print line will just be explaining what the program is supposed to be doing. So starting seatbelt check. That's what we're doing. Then, as I had explained, John is checking the passengers one by one. So let's also just give a print line that is going to be explaining that particular portion. So checking passenger, and then we will just come here and concatenate the I. Then on the other side we're going to have just something. Sorry, I meant to have this in quotation marks. Just something. Now, the point here is that John down the aisle is checking the passengers one by one, just to confirm that everyone is buckled up. So we had said when he gets to passenger number 5, he's going to see them struggling and unable to buckle their seat belt. So at this point here, we're going to simulate finding an unbuckled passenger at let's say passenger 5. So we're going to introduce now the if, and we have already covered the if statements. It's the same. So if I is equal to 5, meaning the current iteration that we are at is at point number 5. So John finds that this passenger is unable to buckle their seatbelt. So what does John do? Does he keep going and checks passenger 6, 7, 8, and so on, pretending he didn't see passenger number 5? No. John, being a good driver and having his priority set on safety, the moment he finds one unbuckled passenger, he needs to immediately stop his seatbelt check, go back to passenger number 5, and then help them So he doesn't need to check anyone else until that immediate issue is resolved. So we're going to add a print line at this point here. Yeah. So for our print line, so we say what? Oh no, passenger. Then we can concatenate which particular passenger is that? Is not buckled. Then there was this Boolean variable I had created up here. Now the Boolean variable is simply a flag that allows us to simulate finding an issue. Finding an issue. So at this point, we're going to take that same variable, found unbuckled, and then we're going to initialize it to true, because at this point we've actually found the issue. So we set the flag. From there, we actually now introduce that keyword break. So at this point is where we said immediately stop the loop. So John's whole ideology, whole system of thinking is that safety comes first. So this immediate stop is exactly what the break keyword does in a loop. It simply terminates the loop entirely as soon as a certain condition is met, regardless of whether the loop's original condition is still true. So from there, I can just add another print line here. So for this print line, we're going to, let me just add this, is buckled. Good. There. So from there, probably something else that we can do with our program is we can add, let's see, we can actually add this if ends here. We have a for loop here. We can add another if now outside. So this validation is always very important. So if found unbuckled, probably. So remember, found unbuckled starts off being initialized to false, and then the flag is set at passenger number 5. So if there is a passenger who was found unbuckled at this point, so seatbelt is broken, must assist the unbuckled passenger. Then we can as well add something, because it's not always mandatory that there be a problem. Everything could be okay. So all passengers are buckled, ready to go. And there we have it. So that's the break keyword. Simply immediately stop the loop, stop execution of the loop. So from there, I'll just deploy this. So I'll save it first, then I can just run it from here. So we give it a moment to deploy. So starting seatbelt check, goes through passenger 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Oh no, passenger 5 is not unbuckled. And then it actually now skips to this point here. So seatbelt is broken, must assist the unbuckled passenger. So that is break. Break simply stops execution of the loop. Then in my other example, we're going to talk about the continue keyword. So let's go back to John, the driver, and this time round I would like us to look at the process that he follows when collecting fares. So we can start by maybe just displaying, or not displaying, but rather initializing the total number of passengers, and then we can create another variable. I can just call it fares collected, which we're going to just initialize to 0. So he is going down the aisle again, asking each passenger one by one for their fare. So I can add a print line there. So in this print line, probably let's see, I can do a /n at this point, then starting fare collection, because that is where we begin. Then we're going to have our loop. So in our loop, we're going to do it the same. So the loop counter variable comes in first, we declare it and initialize it to 1. Then we go for the test or the condition, which we said has to be evaluated to true. So as long as I is less than or equal to the total passengers, and then we update the value of I there. So from there, we are talking about now John is going through passenger by passenger, asking for their fare. So asking passenger, sorry, I was supposed to start with a pair of quotation marks. So and then we come and display the passenger number. Then on the other side, for fare, so asking passenger 1 for fare, asking passenger 2 for fare, like that. Now when John gets to passenger 3 and asks for the fare, this particular passenger claims that they have already paid. So what John is going to do is that he's going to try and remember and confirm whether indeed this passenger has paid. From there, what does he do? That's the question we're going to be attempting to answer. But first of all, we talk about simulating probably, let's say, 2 passengers, passenger 3 and passenger 7, having already paid. So if, and in this simulation we're going to be taking I and saying I is equal to 3, or we use the pipe symbols there, I is equal to 7. That is how we confirm passenger 3 and passenger number 7. So at this point, the question is, since these two are claiming they have already paid, what does John do? The point here is simple. Does he stop collecting fare from everyone? No. He simply skips passenger 3, and he's also going to skip passenger 7, and then moves straight to the next passenger. So when he skips passenger 3, he moves on to passenger 4. When he skips passenger 7, he moves on to passenger 8. Then he's going to continue asking for their fare. So the overall process of collecting fares continues from there. So this is what the continue keyword does. It skips the rest of the current iteration of the loop and immediately jumps to the next iteration, re-evaluating the loop conditions, and the loop itself does not terminate. So the loop simply continues. So at this point is where we were saying these 2 passengers are claiming to have already paid. So maybe we can say passenger, then I already paid. So it's a claim. We are not entirely sure whether it's true. John is the one who is confirming. So assuming this is true, we're just going to add the continue keyword there. So skip the rest of the current iteration and go on to the next one. That's what we've talked about when it comes to continue. After we are through, we're going to add something else here. So if we reach this point, the passenger needs to pay. There was only some conflict, let me call it a conflict, on passenger 3 and passenger 7. So once John confirms that passenger 3 has already paid, then he's going to move on to passenger number 4, and passenger number 4 must pay. So let's add something here for passenger number 4. So passenger, then I on that side, and then pays fare. Thank you. Yeah, and then we're actually going to take the fares collected variable, and then we're going to increment, so +1 from there. Outside the loop entirely, we're just going to come and add something here. So fare collection complete. Then we're going to add something else, just another print line, total fares collected. Then we're going to concatenate, fares collected. Yeah. So that's how the continue keyword works. So skip the rest of the current iteration and just move on to the next iteration. So we'll just run this as well. Today I've decided to change the IDE. I am currently using Eclipse IDE. So let's see. Asking passenger 1 pays the fare. Asking passenger 2, they pay. Asking passenger 3, but passenger 3 has already paid. So let me skip all the way. Asking passenger 7, and then passenger 7 has already paid. So this process is going to continue over and over again until the 14th passenger. So since passenger 3 and passenger 7 had already paid, the total fares collected is supposed to be 12, since we don't have those two. So that's all for today. The lesson was on break and continue. Keep practicing, and I'll see you in the next one on Java with John.